Hi, I'm Tori Matuire with Urban 24/7 Lifestyle Brand. Today I'm sitting here with Lamont talking about his current book, The Consequence of Chance. Lamont, thank you for sitting down with us today with Urban 24/7 Lifestyle Brand.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Author, composer, teacher, and professor.
Yes.
Tell us about your book, The Consequence of Chance. What was your inspiration for the book and why did you choose Houston?
Well, first of all, I've been living in Houston since 1999. I moved here right after graduating from college, and my father was living here in Sugarland. And so I decided to come here, and ever since then, I met my wife. I've gotten a graduate degree at PV. I've been teaching in Houston schools for over 10 years now. And basically, the book came about because my wife and I always played the lottery when it would get super big. We never played when it was 20 or 30. That wasn't enough. So basically, playing the lottery and imagining what I would do with the money if I won it brought about this lifestyle imagination of what would that be like. And so that spawned the book. And I told the story as a single man just to kind of give it a little bit more spice. And it just started to form a life of its own, and it became a book.
Okay. So talking about imagining what you would do with the money, the main character, Douglas Moore, it seems that his focus is taking care of his family and friends and giving back to the community. One point in the book he says, the city felt big and I felt I had a purpose. The money represented unforeseen opportunities and inspiration and the changing of lives. What parallels are there today for a young black man that comes into a windfall of money and the lessons that they can learn about spending?
Well, I think one great example we have is LeBron James. Um, I think his school is called I Promise. Great situation. The kids who go there guaranteed admission to Akron University. I think he's the example of what a well-off entertainer or sports figure in our community, African American community, can do, leveraging their power and wealth and benefiting generations of people. Like these kids will not only benefit themselves, but they'll probably go on to have great careers, lives, and raise children, all because they had this kind of like just break from LeBron James. So I think for me, in that when I wrote that in the book, it was imagining what if I really did win. Being an educator, I would want to do something in education, especially in the neighborhoods that I've taught. Sunnyside, down in Third Ward when I worked at James Ryan, or working over in Madison area, not Madison, Dowling Middle School over in forget the neighborhood, but Hiram Clark area.
Okay.
So yeah, just want to uplift the neighborhood, or uplift black communities.
So while Douglas wanted to help so many people, he also didn't want the right hand to know what the left hand was doing. With his winnings, he chose to remain anonymous, and then he became sick, and he didn't tell his family. Taking that approach with remaining anonymous and not talking about his sickness, there's a point in his book where he's depressed and alone, and in his new apartment, this fancy apartment that he spends a lot of money on. Having that approach, what do you think that he could have done differently? And would his circumstances would have been different, as far as how he felt at that time in his depression?
Well, going back to the initial question in regards to the privacy, I think that's relatable to, I would say, just African American culture. I don't know about other cultures in regards to upbringing, but I know predominantly in African American culture, we're taught to be private. We're taught to keep things in the house. Don't talk about what goes on in this house. So for the character, that was just me relaying my own childhood in the character by, keeping the money a secret. And even with the sickness, sometimes men have a hard time asking for help. And I think that's what I was trying to connect with him, being this vulnerable man who felt weak, even though reaching out to those who could help him would make him strong. He had to find out the hard way. But just an example of how we have a hard time asking for help as men.
Right. So it seems like he was also trying to fulfill some needs in his life with women, in relationships. So let's talk about his love life. There's M, there's Frankie, there's Lacey, there's Gwen, and Yami.
Well, Lacey wasn't really a situation. It was more. Um, it was more.
A happenstance.
No. Frankie. It was more Frankie. Frankie was the interest. But as far as M was a former co-worker, and then Frankie was someone he met when he went to New York. Gwen was the ex-girlfriend who dumped him, and Yami was the new interest after he got the money. And I think each of these women represented a particular point in his life where his confidence level matched that opportunity. So, like for instance, when the situation with Gwen was over, he won this money, and so he thought, well, now I'm at a different status. Maybe I can holler at, this particular type of woman.
Right.
But realizing, well, as an author and as a human being, and someone who's been married for over 16 years, women really don't care about the things that we think they do. And I think with the Yami character, he found that out. He thought it was his wealth. He thought it was what he had, but she just wanted someone who was honest.
Right.
And so you have to read the book to find out what happens.
Right. So in making his decision with the women, so there's like a Gwen versus Yami.
Yeah, a lot of people got mad at me for that. They really were team Gwen.
Yeah. Gwen was the one shooting in the gym with him, and then Yami was the one that looked good. She looked like the perfect package.
But I think that's just the perception of how women look at men's decisions. I think that Gwen represented the stability he had before money, but people forget that Gwen let him go. He didn't leave Gwen, she left him. Yami was someone that was new, and it was just that the reader, and particularly maybe the female reader, because a lot of female readers had an issue with those two. I think that the misconception was that he went for the beauty versus the substance.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that the female readers may have had a problem with Gwen being someone of his race, African American, and Yami being Puerto Rican?
That did come up as well. I had a young lady bring that up to me, and I think the reality is that what goes on in society in regards to African American couples or African American men in their relationships with African American women, you really can't put a stamp on what love really should be like. I think that we want to do that because we know what a black family does for our community, but being conscious or being aware doesn't mean that you can't love who you want to love.
Right.
You can be a conscious person and still be aware that you're in love with somebody. Right. And I think that once we learn to separate those two things, we'll be okay. But I think because we have a lack of what we would like to see, that's why it's an issue.
Right. So why did you choose the ending that you chose? I was reading it, I was so into it, and then I was like, I want more.
I think the thing is that I thought that, well, here's the thing, let's be honest. I hate predictability. I don't like predictability in music, movies, anything. Like if I can tell my wife something's gonna happen, I stop watching. And she'll laugh because, sometimes it happens that way, sometimes no. But the ending that I had for this, it was because I wanted to represent the randomness of life. It was just as random for him to win this lottery. And as great and monumentous as that could be, the ending is the same thing. So that was really to show that as grateful as you are in life and as random as life can be, it's still life. It's just what happens. And sometimes we like to say, oh, it's the will of God. It's hard to really say it's the will of God when inside you're like, why did this happen?
Well, it was a fantastic read.
Thank you.
I recommend everybody going out and getting the book,
Thank you.
Consequence of Chance. What can we expect next from you?
I am so excited about my next book. It's a total right turn from this book. It's not a sequel. It's not anything to do with this book. It's a love story. I'll just say that it involves a married couple, and it's a twist in the storyline. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want nobody to try to figure it out. But I'm so excited about it, and I'm hoping to have that released this year, 2018.
Awesome. Lamont, thank you so much.
Thank you. And you can find this lovely book on Amazon. You can go to my website, www.thelakebloom.com, or you can go to Amazon. You can find Consequence of Chance. I also have a Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram at the L Lamont.
Please be sure to pick up your copy of The Consequence of Chance. And for this story and more like it, visit urban247lifestyle.co. I'm Tori Matwire, and I'll see you next time.